Welcome on in, guys. Three bold takes. And again, we're going to discuss another playoff game here. We have Texas and Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Texas fell to Washington 37-31. Washington is now playing Michigan for the national championship game. A lot of yards in this game, I've noticed, when looking through the box score. You've got 530 total yards for Washington, 2 yards shy of 500 yards for Texas. Beautiful offensive game here between the two. Quinn, let's kick it to you first here. What are your initial thoughts here of the quarterback play from Penix and Quinn Ewers?
Well, I told you in the breakdown going into this game, I picked Washington, and I said I thought a lot of it would have to do with Texas was going to get their points, but I thought Washington could throw the ball on Texas. And I said if Michael Penix had a day, and he had to have a day, they would beat Texas. And that's what happened. But frankly, man, I don't know if Michael Penix having a day was enough for Washington to win this game, because you go back and watch the game, there was a lot of turnovers and mistakes by Texas, an opportunistic play by Washington to help to win this shootout. And that was the big breakdown going into this game, was that you were going to have two offensive firepower teams. Who was going to make the mistakes? It was going to be like an old school, and when I say old school, I'm talking like 5 or 6 years ago, Big 12 game, where you're going to be scoring points left and right. Which defense is going to make the play or two plays, or what special teams unit is going to make the mistake to cost their offense the game? And that team was Texas. They had one too many. They tried right there at the end to come back. They had a good drive getting down into field position to kick or to try to win the game. For I believe it was 4th and 11 from the 13 or 12 yard line, maybe 15 yard line. They were in the red zone. One play to go, they try to throw the fade up, and it wasn't there to be had. And Washington secured their trip to the national title game. And man, what a playoff we were given this year. Like we talked about it coming in, that it was going to be one of the best fields we've seen. The two semifinals lived up to the hype. Now it's on the national title, because if you remember last year, TCU Michigan, great game. Ohio State Georgia, great game. Georgia TCU, not a great game. Let's hope that I don't think we're going to get that, frankly, from Michigan Washington. But I am just shout out to the Huskies, man. Like, this is a program that nobody's believed in all year. Everyone swore Oregon was going to get by them. They never did. Now Washington got here to Texas. The majority of America took Texas. Washington didn't care. They knew they were going into basically a pseudo road environment, and they took that with pride, and they showed out. And I'm insanely impressed with Penix. But I will end with this. This might be the last year of college football like this year of college football. Go and do yourself a favor and look at some of the quarterbacks that are going into the NFL. They are all in like their mid 20s. There are quarterbacks right now. Michael Penix is older than multiple quarterbacks who are coming close to the end of their rookie deals in the league. So the parity that we've seen because of the transfer portal is real. The parity we've seen because of the extra year of eligibility from 2020 is also very real. And I think that is going to be coming to it's not that I think, it will be coming to an end here in the next season or two. So, man, it's created some fun football, though. And I look forward to seeing Washington in the national title game.
Yeah, I loved this game, man. The connection with Penix and then Odunze, that was beautiful to watch. And then not also Ewers on the other side with Sanders, Whittington, Mitchell, the Worthy, all of them. Just great receiver, quarterback connections all the way through. But Michael Penix, man, I just got to talk about him. Should have been the Heisman winner. Just some of the balls
100%.
which some of the balls he was putting in the hands of his guys just absolutely there's one play he throws it over the shoulder. The quarterback is staring at the receiver the whole time. Odunze throws it up the last second, just on the money, and it's just throw after throw. And Texas would either get a stop or it looked like Washington wasn't going to be able to convert. And bam, another crazy throw from Washington. And let's also talk about almost a non-existent running game. 100 yards and your top running back had 21 carries for 49. Almost non-existent running game. You're relying fully on the pass. Texas knows that, and you are coming through every single time with it. Penix was a dog, absolutely just put it on him. And Quentin Ewers in Texas as well. Quentin Ewers played a phenomenal game, phenomenal. The whole team did. I think what led to their downfall was a couple of mistakes in the third quarter. That's where Washington took the lead. But Sarkisian called a terrible last offensive drive. Ewers makes a beautiful throw to Whittington on the right side, about 40 yards downfield, puts him in field goal range. You can't get a field goal. You got to score. The last 2 to 3 plays, Sanders and Ewers were a little off, but also Sarkisian's calling terrible plays that didn't allow Texas to score. You still had a chance with 10 seconds to go. That's how awesome it was. That's how great of a game it was. And to Quinn's point, this is the best field we've ever had. The best field, the most paired. Both games decided by 7 points or less. One goes into overtime, and the other one comes down to the final 15 seconds. I don't know how you can dream of anything better. Like, I watched all the Alabama Michigan game, and then I had to take a half to actually understand what happened to Alabama. But then watching Washington, Texas in the second half was just as beautiful. So shout out both the entire field, but Penix for also making his way to the national championship game. Fred?
Yeah, shout out both these teams here and the entire field, just like you guys said. It was a fantastic field. And you know, you can go back to not only was it a fantastic field, and was it a lot of parity in the playoffs. There's a lot of parity in the top 10. I mean, you know, you look at Penn State, Ole Miss, Georgia, like there was some really solid teams, Missouri, really solid teams in the top 10. This year, so a lot of parity among all of college football, but specifically this game, man, Texas, you fell short, man, and guess what? You're moving to the SEC next year. Now, I'm not saying that they can't compete, right? And I'm sure we'll get to this in the offseason, but it's a different world. It's a different ball game. So I'm excited to see it, and for Washington, you are literally moving to the big boys, to the Big Ten. Next year. You play Michigan in a regular season game. Like, you play these teams in the regular season. This is, to me, this is their shot. Quinn, you mentioned that this is Michigan's shot to win because of all the talent that they're losing, and how hard their schedule is. This is Washington's shot too. I don't see them being this good. Okay, let me rephrase that. They may be this good with not as good results because of the schedule and because of the competition that they'll have to play moving forward. Now, can they make a 12-team playoff? Sure, right? A bunch of people can make a 12-team playoff. Will they play for another national title? That's a completely different issue and discussion. But shout out to the Huskies, man. I'm going to do a short on this. Washington's been doubted week in, week out. They were underdogs against Oregon twice. The second time, way worse than they were the first time. You know, they were doubted after the Washington State game, and then they just continued to prove doubters wrong. And it's a great story. You know, Washington was in the playoffs in 2016, couldn't get it done. They got beat by Bama in Atlanta. Here they are again, 8 years later. Can they get it done against Michigan? We're going to talk about it here in just a second. Go watch that video if you want to. But yeah, Penix, man, I'm not going to say he was snubbed of a Heisman, but he was probably snubbed of a Heisman. I picked Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman, and I thought he should because of all the numbers. And I think this is why Heisman voting is done before these type of games. Personally, I wish it was after the entire season. Because you get to see these type of games and see these type of quarterbacks play a defense like Texas, right, that you may haven't seen all year long. So it's kind of an unfair comparison there. But thanks for watching, guys. 3 bold takes. My name's Freddie, Quinn, Chase. Appreciate it. See you guys soon.